Barbara Kruger, born January 26, 1945, is an American conceptual artist. She was born into a lower middle-class family located in Newark, New Jersey. Her father was working as a chemical technician for Shell Oil, and her mother was a legal secretary. After high school, she attended Syracuse University in New York, but after 1 year she left because her father unfortunately passed away. After spending a year at Syracuse in 1965, she went on to pursue a semester at Parsons School of Design, also located in New York. Over the next following 10 years, Kruger was able to establish herself while pursuing graphic design for magazines, freelance picture editing, as well as designing book jackets. By the later 1960s, Kruger gained especially an interest in poetry and began attending poetry readings and writings. Kruger studied art and design with some notable figures including Diane Arbus and Marvin Israel at Parsons School of Design in New York. This is according to the Rhode Island Gallery, which she has lots of her work featured. Additionally, working at Condé Nast, she was able to really delve into her interests within art, graphic design, and the merge of literature, while also pursuing further interests in the feminist attitudes of the time. Afterwards, Kruger was awarded the head designer for that following year, which truly set her career in a positive trajectory. She initially worked as a designer at Mademoiselle magazine and later moved on to work part-time as a picture editor at House & Garden, Aperture, and other publications. At the beginning of her art career, Kruger was intimidated to enter New York galleries due to the art scene, which was, to her words, an atmosphere that did not welcome particularly independent women artists. However, she received early support for her projects from groups such as the Public Art Fund, and they continued her to continue making art. From there, she switched to her modern practice of collage in the early 80s. These addressed issues of language and sign, which Kruger has since become famous for. She is often grouped into such artist groups as feminist postmodern artists, some of these that include Jenny Holzer, Sherry Levin, Martha Rosler, and Cindy Sherman. That is according to Barbara Kruger's book entitled When I Hear the Word Culture, I Take Out My Checkbook, from Evening Sale of Works from the Peter Norton Collection. Like Holzer and Sherman, she used techniques of mass communication and advertising to explore gender and identity. She is considered to be part of the pictures generation, according to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Using overlays of photographs with text and images, she has been able to use pithy and assertive text that challenges the viewer to expand their horizons of society. This method includes developing her ideas on a computer and then later transferring the results, oftentimes very billboard-sized results, into images. Examples of her instantly recognizable slogans read, "I shop, therefore I am," and "Your body is a battleground." Oftentimes, these have appeared in her trademark white letters against a red background. Much of this text calls attention to such ideas such as feminism, consumerism, and individual autonomy and desire, frequently appropriating images from mainstream magazines and popular culture, and then using her bold phrases and striking textual design elements to frame them in an all-new context that portrays society in a new way. Another very prominent work of Kruger's was her installation on a train station platform in Strasbourg, France, called "Empathy Can Change the World." This was in 1994, at a peak of her career when she started globally installing artwork for all the public to see. This was a call for social change and calling out the need for empathy, kindness, and facing social norms and constraints that bothered her and she thought deserved the right to have a voice in busyness and hustle and bustle of our daily lives. Additionally, this prompted her to create further exhibitions and installations around cities where everyone could see them and create positive change in the lives of everyday people. Additionally, in her effort to create positive social change in our everyday lives was Kruger's mission to expand our knowledge of consumerism and what this does to our world, our human psyche, and the relationships we have in human connection. She created a line of works with the bold lettering of "I shop, therefore I am." This was a call to our human communities as well as the global economy, retail stores, and just our consumer spending habits about what this does for our waste, our environment, and how we think about things around us as just stuff. Since creating this line of "I shop, therefore I am," to target our consumer behaviors and the way this impacts the world and our human connection, this line has been used in many marketing and advertising campaigns against our spending habits and being conscientious of how what we are spending on impacts our own lives as well as other lives, and also the mission of what we are supporting and the vision that those companies have for overall humanitarian and activism acts. Most recently, in a current issue of New York Magazine from November 13th, 2016, Kruger calls out Donald Trump on the cover with a black and white picture of his face with the red and white lettering that she is so famous for, with the words "loser." This was a special election issue of New York Magazines. When it hit the newsstands, there was outrage and sparked conversations globally. In an article from the Huffington Post, Editor-in-Chief Adam Moss explains that the motivation behind the image in a New York Magazine piece was that they were drawn to it, in part, for the three ways in which it could be interpreted: as Trump speaking, single-word epithets being his specialty, as a description of Trump, and as a call on the election result. On his latter point, who knows, and we can confess to being a little rattled when the commie letter news broke just as we were shipping it, which is very interesting as this hit newsstands just as the election news erupted. In the end, the New York Magazine editors felt that the power of Kruger's image transcended any one meaning you could read into it. The issue analyzes many aspects of Trump's extraordinary candidacy, an important point literally spelled out on the headline as they appended on the bottom corner, that Trump has already changed America, not much for the better, which adds a fourth meaning in the sense that we are all losers too. Despite obvious critics that come when portraying society's ills, Kruger insists on remaining not grounded in condemnation but in observation, with work that conjures moments of recognition and connection with the people around her. While her work is sometimes jarring and oftentimes even subtle, the economy of words and imagery is what drives her to continue creating work even though there are lots of critics. In an article from Wallpaper magazine in December 2010, she states, "There always needs to be a way to create commentary. That's what art is. That spark exists whether there's a market for your work or not."